solution showcase, which is about reimagining global capability centers, which are faster, smarter, and scalable. Let's get those thoughts coming in right away on this platform. Let me invite on stage, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us the EVP of Head of Global Business from Cybage Software, Mr. Prasad Washikar, who's joining us today to share his thoughts on reimagining global capability centers that are faster, smarter, and scalable. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as he joins us on stage to take the session forward.
Okay. Hello. Is it audible? Good afternoon, everyone. So as Ankit mentioned, that was the session before lunch and but there is one more session after me. So still we have to be hungry for making sure that, okay, the lunch is really sumptuous after this. Okay. My name is Prasad Washikar. I'm working with Cybage. And let me start with this simple question. Imagine that, okay, if you have to set up a GCC or scale the GCC in just like a product release, a quick time, faster. And that is the purpose of this particular session. Can we have our GCCs set up, scaled, and run, executed in much faster, much agile, and much smarter ways? And that's the purpose why we are discussing here today. But before we deep dive, here is a quick fact check about Cybage, who we are. We are a product engineering services company for over 30 years of services in this particular area. We are headquartered in Pune. We are operating out of all geographies at this point of time. At this point, we are working with 200 plus customers globally across 7 verticals. Right from media, as Jaideep was mentioned, media is our powerful sector. Media, we are working with global leaders in media, high-tech, retail, supply chain, fintech, and so on and so forth. We have 7,000 plus global staff right now. Now, what it means, this whole capability and the customers with whom we are working either as a GCC coexistence, setting up their own GCCs, or transforming their GCCs to the next world. What we are doing here is we have built the trust with those leaders like you and your companies for over these years. What we have done so far by working closely with you, as some of the leaders already mentioned in the panels, we have co-created few of the IPs. We have co-created some of the products which are transforming the entire journey. And right from the legacy modernization, the tech stack, what we are working on is phenomenally changed over the years. And right now we have set up AI and data and cloud entire center of excellence, which is the cutting edge technologies, whom we are working with some of the supply chain leaders, some of the retail giants across globe, and especially the high-tech areas where we are transforming some of their behaviors of fleet management in some of the technology areas from a cloud perspective. So why is this relevant, which I mentioned over here? Now coming back to the GCCs part of it, if you look at it, let's take a simple step back and look at the journey of GCCs. As some of the panelists or some leaders also mentioned earlier, the first generation was specifically a pure offshoring because of cost arbitrage. 30 to 40%, 40 to 50%, and some mentioned 13x also, which is where the numbers were kind of phenomenally changed because there is a cost arbitrage available. Second generation, capability development, shared services, some of the center of excellence which were created. However, the third generation, which is where we are right now, is where the GCCs, and some Manish I think mentioned very nicely that we don't want to call GCCs as GCCs. They are true innovation hubs. And that is exactly what I'm seeing, because they are really building the products. They are contributing to the top line of the businesses, and they are becoming the boardroom strategies also. So that phenomenal change has actually evolved in such a way from a cost arbitrage to a boardroom strategy player. Now what it means, while we are doing so many things, but the challenges still remain there. What are these challenges? Any GCCs which we have to set up still takes 12 to 15 months, typically right from the scale of 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, depending on whatnot. The initial setup cost still is $3 to $5 million, which is a phenomenally high cost when we have seen that. And despite doing all those things, what we have seen is the productivity of this team or the efficiency of this team or the output from this team is also taking some longer time. Maybe 6 months in some cases, maybe 9 months or even 12 months also what we have seen. Now, this is a classic problem. Can we have something which can be created faster, smarter, with less friction and with scale? That's where GCC as a service comes in picture from our side. So Cybage has got GCC CAS. We call it a GCAS, which is GCC as a service. Imagine GCC in a complete container box, completely modular, customizable, and ready to launch in 90 days or around 90 days based on the scale and the complexity of the solution. Now, what it means, we do the heavy lifting for you. How the heavy lifting will be done? Infrastructure, legal, HR, some of the practices over here which we have learned throughout the years as far as the best practices, we do it for you. The talent, which is more important, and some of the leaders also mentioned that, okay, we would like to have our culture alignment with them. So that is already baked into this model, where the cultural alignment is already part of this talent sourcing, which we do it very effectively because we have been doing that for last 30 years. Now, how we have to improvise that? Because one of the problem which we have seen is, do you want to have the agile pods to be set for you, or you want to have hybrid teams, or you want to have a dedicated setup? Completely choice is with you, the leaders. At the same time, who owns it? That was one of the other questions which we have to address. Now, what we have seen is, the ownership is always given to you with the flexibility what we have created. Either you go for a build, operate, transfer, you can go for build, operate, or own, or you can just scale it off and spin off. Either of these options we have created for you. Now, what it means, it has given you full flexibility in the model. It has given you the scale because we have doing it time and again, and the smarter way what we have done for the talent across the globe. Now, the results, what we have seen so far in the last 24 to 36 months is 3 to 5 times the GCCs could be launched in a much rapid way. That is one significant aspect. The second is, the cost of operations for the first 2 years reduces by 30 to 50%, and the data is already with us. And then the third fact, which is most important, is when we are running the operations, it is not years for the team to become fully productive or efficient, or the GCC to be fully productive. Immediately within weeks, the team starts developing the outcome. That is the phenomenal change what we have brought in. So, how it looks at is it outsourcing? No. Is it losing the flexibility or the control? No. It is acceleration with flexibility and ownership. That is what the GCC as a service model what we have created for all of us. And how it has to be seen that, okay, why Cybage? What is the differentiator which we are bringing to the table? When multiple people are kind of doing these services, there are 50%, some of the panelists mentioned also that, okay, 50% we have to do in-house, in-source, and 50% we have to partner. Now, that is where the flexibility of the models what we have created, right from left-hand side, which you can see the 6 pillars which we call. 4 is 2 less, 8 is 2 more. So 6 is what we have basically come up that, okay, practically we can derive that value proposition and value creation within the GCCs. The flexibility in the models, which gives you the ownership. Pay as you scale. That is differentiator, which basically gives you the complete control and our skin in the game. Because at the same time, when GCCs are becoming innovation hub, their thought process is doing something more productive and more valuable, whereas we bring our skin in the game. What we have done better, can we complement together? So that is the second part of it. Third is, which is very important, as far as the things are concerned, you can look at product engineering DNA. Since 30 years, we are doing product engineering services. Now that DNA is automatically inculcated with the services or the teams which are aligned with your product or your services. Be it healthcare, like Amgen is mentioning, be it kind of a Fractal from the healthcare part of it, or be it media from Warner Brothers, or be it McDonald's from a retail food chain part of it. So essentially it covers entire segment of the technology and the products which we have created years after years. 7 verticals which I touched upon, we have the blueprints. So the tacit knowledge what we have gained or the domain knowledge what we have generated, that always helps us in making sure that, okay, how this is faster, the 2x or the 3x which we were discussing. Some of them mentioned also, the panelists, that, okay, whatever outcomes which we are expecting after 3 years, can we do it in 1 year? Answer is yes, because that is the tacit domain knowledge which we can bring in. The other part is tier 2, tier 3. Second panelist basically mentioned, we already are operating out of Hyderabad as well as Gandhinagar. The full setup operation is there in both the cities, which helps us to gain the knowledge as well as the talent across those tier 2, tier 3 cities, which reduces the cost of operations by 20 to 40%. And that is essentially beneficial, and it helps in retention also. Last but not the least, which is very important, is client communities. 65% of the GCC leaders have mentioned that whenever there is a peer sharing or knowledge sharing which happens within their community, it is helping them to have better GCC's effectiveness. And that's exactly what we have created. So when we work together, it is not that, okay, it is outsourcing or it is just a partner or it is service. It is an ecosystem which is available from a client community part of it also, for all of you to run and execute the GCC in a more effective way. Now, while doing that, we have to always make sure that, okay, what kind of a delivery excellence is always there. So these are the quick checklists which we have created, be it engineering functions, be it the enabling functions. These kind of things execute and come up at various stages of GCC methodologies what we have implemented and practiced together. Now, to support this, these are the data points which we have given the results in the last 24 months. 15 plus GCCs, either we have launched, scaled to the next level, and which we are having, as somebody mentioned also, it is not that, okay, only the $1 billion or 500 plus million. It is from mid-market also, from $100 million onwards. So that is where we have given that result. The timing, which I said, the execution time has come from 90 to 120 days also to set up entire thing. And one of the e-learning platform organization, I know that, okay, 185 people, we set up the entire GCC. We started the conversation in a different way, but we ended up in having a 185 people team right now running for various products which are being built. Then cost of savings, which I mentioned, 15 to 30%, it is automatically coming to you. Last but not the least, these are the verticals which we have executed. Some of the quotes which we have captured over here, they tell us that, okay, what kind of legacy we are bringing as far as our delivery excellence is concerned, what kind of commitment or the skin in the game which I mentioned as far as quality of the resources is concerned, because one of the problems which we have heard from many of the GCC leaders, how we can sustain that quality of the leadership or quality of the talent. That is what we have seen. And what I would like to leave at this particular instance, because they are already looking at me that, okay, the time's up and I don't want you to be hungry further, essentially is how we can be a partner together. Imagine that, okay, you would like to have a GCC scaled up in the next 90 days or set up a complete new GCCs in the 90 days in any location, be it only not in Pune, Hyderabad, Gandhinagar, but any location. That could be done with a flexibility, ownership, and creativity from our side of it. Now, that is the power which we would like to bring in and make sure that, okay, this journey is becoming faster, smarter, and agile for all of us so that your growth is continuous and we contribute into that journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Washikar. Thank you indeed. Thank you so much once again.